we've decided the best way to proceed is with one inquiry, but in two parts. I can tell the House that this inquiry will be led by one of the most senior judges in our country, Lord Justice Leveson. He will report to both the Home Secretary and the Secretary for Culture, Media and Sport. The inquiry will be established under the 2005 Inquiries Act, which means it will have the power to summon witnesses, including newspaper reporters, management, proprietors, policemen and politicians of all parties, to give evidence under oath and in public. Proprietors was included in that list. Starting as soon as possible, Lord Justice Leveson, assisted by a panel of senior independent figures with relevant expertise in media, broadcasting, regulation and government, will inquire into the culture, practices and ethics of the press, their relationship with the police, the failure of the current system of regulation, the contacts made and discussions had between national newspapers and politicians, why previous warnings about press misconduct were not heeded, and the issue of cross-media ownership. He will make recommendations for a new, more effective way of regulating the press. The second part of the inquiry will examine the extent of unlawful or improper conduct at the News of the World and other newspapers, and the way in which management failures may have allowed this to happen. This part of the inquiry will also look into the original police investigation and the issue of corrupt payments to police officers. And it will consider the implications for the relationships between newspapers and the police. As both the alleged nature of the malpractice and the scope of the newspapers involved widens, serious questions must be asked about News Corporation's proposed takeover of B-Sky-B. Added to this, News Corporation has withdrawn its proposed undertakings in lieu of reference to the Competition Commission. That is why on Monday, my right honourable friend, the Secretary of State for Culture, Media and Sport, referred their bid to the Competition Commission. The relevant independent authorities will have the time now to take an exhaustive look at all the relevant issues and come to a considered decision on whether this takeover should proceed. It will then be up to the Secretary of State to make the final decision in his quasi-judicial capacity. Mr. Speaker, in every way, we are and we must follow the law with respect to News International's proposed acquisition of B-Sky-B. But let me repeat what I said on Monday. In my view, this business should not be focused on mergers and takeovers, but on clearing up the mess and getting the House in order. And that is what the House will be voting on tonight. And let me also say this. The people involved, whether they were directly responsible for wrongdoing, whether they sanctioned it or whether they covered it up, however high or low they go, they must not only be brought to justice, they must also have no future role in running a media company in our country. On the allegation concerning improper payments to police officers, I can assure the House that the Met Police immediately referred the case to the Independent Police Complaints Commission. Since then, the IPCC's most senior commissioner has been supervising the Met's work to identify the officers who may have taken these payments. As soon as any officers are identified, the Commission have made clear publicly that it will move to a full, independent investigation, drawing on all the available expertise necessary so that the public is reassured. My right honourable friend, the Home Secretary, has been assured by the Commission they have both the powers and the resources needed to see this through. Because over the decades, politicians and the press have spent time courting support, not confronting the problems. So I will be consulting the Cabinet Secretary on an amendment to the Ministerial Code to require ministers to record all meetings with newspaper and other media proprietors, senior editors and executives, regardless of the nature of the meeting. Permanent secretaries and special advisers will also be required to record such meetings. This information should be published quarterly. It is a first for our country, and alongside the other steps we're taking, will help make the UK government one of the most transparent in the world.